Well, this is probably an interesting mix you never thought you'd hear of. So any of you guys on the channel know I like me some video games, right? I love me some RPGs, some platformers, action games, right? I love video games, okay? I could sit down and play video games all day. I love them. One of my favorite series being the Shin Megami Tensei, or True Goddess Rebirth or Reincarnation, I forget the word, series. And that series is really damn cool. You know, you gotta sit down and deal with a bunch of different ideals and beliefs and religion and politics and a bunch of crazy shit going on, but everything always comes down to your personal decisions as a character. Whether you want to remain neutral and just go with the route of, hey, humanity can just survive on its own and fix all the bad problems that we have with bad people and just get rid of the bad people and continue to be good. Go with the chaos route and just be some crazy demon overlord that wants to just throw everything into literal chaos, making the planet living hell, destroying all of the good guys, destroying all the bad guys, and just having everything be true anarchy and pretty much just some antichrist shit. Or whether you want to go inside with law and be one of the members of the team with the angels and God, and you want to save everybody and bring people that deserve it into a true heaven. Whichever choice you make is up to you, and depending on what you decide to pick will affect the rest of the game and ultimately your outcome and the rest of the story that you'll receive on that ending and that playthrough. And it's always been very interesting to me that the Shin Megami Tensei series decides to go ahead and tackle these ideals and go as far as having, you know, police brutality and all this shit with like mafias and yakuzas and corrupt politicians, and all the stuff that they recently released with Persona 5 has just been crazy. But they just say fuck it all and tackle these things head on and go into the extremism of some of these things, of some people's beliefs, whether they believe in religion or not. And they just go ahead and they don't sugarcoat anything. So while I was having my standard SMT talk with my buddies on Discord, we came across this conclusion that Pucci, Enrico Pucci, might actually be a law character. Now you're probably just like, Tommy, what connection are you even trying to make? What's the point of this? What? Well, understand this. Enrico Pucci wants to achieve heaven because that's what Dio told him he was gonna do, and Pucci's a priest. Pucci finds himself to be a man of God already, and his ultimate goal is to just do whatever Dio told him to do and go ahead and be his loyal, faithful servant. And with Dio being passed away and dead, and it's all up to Pucci now to sit there and reach the heaven that Dio couldn't reach out. Because Dio did pretty much just pull some Jesus shit and heal Pucci's foot miraculously and just, you know, took Pucci by surprise and it captivated him. Seeing something like this, just a miracle in front of his eyes, ultimately made Pucci decide that he wanted to go ahead and serve Dio. And he sees Dio as his god or as his messenger from heaven. Very similarly to how some law characters in Shin Megami Tensei would. And of course, I'm going to go into a bit of spoiler territory here, so there's your warning, because apparently people don't pay attention to the spoiler warning in the intro, but whatever. Okay, so now let's dive into Strange Journey, because that game's getting a remake, and I guess it's a good example of characters. So there's this woman named Zelenin that's on your team, and you go with her into the Schwarzwelt, or the Black World, which is the setting of the game, and she is your law character, and she's Russian, and she's a pretty cool character, I guess. But the entire time that you're sitting here fighting these demons, going deeper and deeper into Schwarzwelt as the rest of the crew goes crazy, and you find more of the other crew members dead, Zelena decides she doesn't want to fight demons with demons. As a matter of fact, she doesn't even want to fight the demons, but she has no other choice or else she'll get killed. And that's all until Zelena is helped by Mastema, a mysterious angel-like figure. And from the point of Mastema appearing, well, she kind of just has the same thing as Dio did to Pucci. It's like, hey, I helped you, and the other person just like, alright, I'm gonna do whatever you tell me to do because I believe in you and you gave me hope. So because Zelenin decided to have this hope for Mastema, more plot happens, and then eventually Zelenin is brought up to Mastema again, where she makes a deal with him to be turned into an angel, and she transforms into an angel, and now she has a cool new angel form. And she's able to use powers because angel. And what happens when Pucci decides to get closer to Dio and decide to ultimately give himself up to his power? He gets the green baby. And what does he do with the green baby in his stand? Well, he says some weird words about a rhinoceros beetle or something, and then he achieves new power related to gravity. Although Zelenin is kind of just singing songs and it's just the hymn of the Lord and it's making all the demons shrivel, Pucci is also making people shrivel by using Sea Moon to reverse gravity and mess gravity up and put people inside out. I mean, look at what he did to Jolene. It's almost like she's a noodle. And then there's a step even further beyond that. And if you thought that the characters were just gonna stop at getting one transformation, well, then they achieve something completely crazy and become something new, and Zelenin becomes this giant pillar god lady, while Pucci gets the stand Made in Heaven, which is made in heaven, and it has the ability to speed things up like crazy. You guys already know what it do. And the only reason Pucci is fighting our main crew of Stone Ocean is because, well, they're opposing his ideals and they're going against his idea, and whether or not they would have had the option to decide to go with Pucci if this was an SMT game, then they probably would have gone with Pucci and they would have, been safe and they would have lived happily ever after. But JoJo's not SMT. So what happens? Pucci kills everybody, but what does he end up doing before that? Well, he speeds up time so much that the world is just like, and then there's a new universe, but JoJo also talks about there being multiple universes, and the only people that are dead are the people that got killed. Because everybody always thinks that with the universe reset in JoJo, everybody just dies, but all the other people are still fine and they're just doing their own thing. But we're in a different universe timeline thing, so we just imagine that as, the old JoJo timeline, and then this is the JoJo timeline A, where we're here for a little bit before Pucci gets body bagged, and then Emporio is brought into timeline B because another timeline happens, and because there's a bunch of different possible timelines in different universes and infinite possibilities. And this happens because of his decision to sit here and reach heaven. And what happens in SMT games? Well, some of the law endings usually include mass genocide of people that are not in the right and people that are not within the viewing of, glorification from those of the law nature and the holy people. They talk about making a perfect world and having a sanctum and having an outer heaven, like a beautiful place for everybody to be, but those everybody is really just reduced to the people that want to follow and believe in it, and everybody else gets just body bagged, and it's just mass genocide. And ultimately, Pucci probably could have caused a mass genocide if he would have gone around killing a bunch more people, but he was just trying to get rid of those that were in front of him at the moment. But making the connection of SMT and JoJo, in SMT, when they usually reboot the universe, doing these things with these mass genocides and law natures and neutral routes and chaotic routes, it always opens up a bunch of other timelines because there's all these different what if scenarios where it's like, what if this happened or this happened? And that's when we get it to connect to another game in the Shin Megami Tensei franchise, where we have it connect to another spin-off or another part of the story is pieced together. And JoJo had a similar aspect by having this multiple universe thing be the next thing that would connect us to the Steel Ball Run universe, where Araki would have a fresh, clean slate and he could write whatever he wanted without having to worry about all the same laws from before. And of course, just like in Shin Megami Tensei, in these new timelines in JoJo and Steel Ball Run mainly, there's a lot of references and throwbacks to older things throughout older parts because there's still possible things that can happen. There's still possibilities of these things existing and these people existing, since it's just an alternate reality and a different look at that exact same timeline. So long story short, Pucci's crazy and he's a law character because he does what law characters do. They get god powers and then they destroy the universe and go ha 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 ha, and that's the ending. But yeah, I'll probably do more of these. I mean, it just depends on what connections I can make. It's kind of really far-fetched to make a JoJo and Shin Megami Tensei crossover type of video unless I was doing a JoJo versus, but I decided that, this one would make more sense because there's an actual connection between the law route and just the way that Pucci goes about doing things in his own part. So that's why I sat down and did this. Shout out to Zipper for sparking my curiosity on this because he was talking to me about stuff, and now I was like, wait, so Pucci's a law character, and we kind of just sat there and we're just like, yeah. So shout out to Zipper for doing that. But if you guys enjoy the video, go ahead and leave a like, subscribe if you're new to the channel. I'll be doing more of these eventually. Whatever video you guys want me to do next, go ahead and comment down below. I always like reading the comments and seeing different topics of, speech and conversation that you guys bring up and whatever else you want to see in future videos, because your interest is what I'll probably focus on doing more. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.